Ladies and gentlemen, please give a really warm welcome to my friend, Mike Cho.
So I am walking up Broadway, up towards Canal Street. I am heading towards Forbidden Planet, which is a very popular comic book store in Lower Manhattan, because the nerdy-looking Asian guy was not feeling cliche enough that day. So I'm walking up Broadway, and I suddenly noticed that there's somebody walking directly behind me, like so close that they're practically touching me. And I don't know what's about to happen, but I know something is. And I know that because in the time that I've lived in New York, for some reason, I've become a very popular target for street scam artists. And I'm talking like everything from the most elaborate things involving like props and accomplices, down to like just the most garbage like street level scams, which is what's right about to happen to me right now. So the guy makes his move and he just edges out right in front of me, and I get my first look at him. He's this huge guy, he's enormous. So he's wearing this beat up blue backpack, and he has his hair in these long braids tied in a ponytail in the back. And I'm just taking all of this in when suddenly he stops and I have to bump into him. And this pair of silver frame eyeglasses that he'd been holding in his hand go clattering down onto the sidewalk. So he turns around and gets in my face and starts screaming at me, "You need to watch where you're going. You can't just go crashing into people on the sidewalk like that." And then he picks up the glasses, which of course has a huge chip on one of the lenses and a big crack running up and down the other lens. And he starts howling. He's like, "Oh my God, you broke my glasses. Like now I can't help my daughter with her homework. You broke my glasses. You did this. This is your fault. What are you gonna do about it?" And the reason why you say, "What are you gonna do about it?" is so that later on, if you're questioned about this, you can say, "Hey, I didn't ask him for any money. He just gave it to me." So this is, of course, a scam. It's a very well-known scam, and I know it's a scam, but this guy is huge, and he's in my face, and he's screaming at me, and I get scared. It's very scary, and like, I'm not gonna confront him. I'm not gonna get into a fight with him. The only thing I can think to do is just to get away. But every time I try to step around him, he is right there, and he is right in my face, screaming, "You broke my glasses. What are you gonna do about this?" And right about then, I noticed that we're standing right in front of the Canal Street station of the NQRW train. And I know that this is one of those huge stations. It's on different levels. There's exits on all four corners, and there's even this long tunnel that you can run down around the corner that lets out on the other side of the block. So he's in my face and he's screaming, and what I decided to do is that I move to step around him again, and then he gets in front of me, but instead of trying to step forward, I do this cool little fake out, and I step backwards, and I turn around and I run down the stairs into the station. And I run into the station, and I run around the corner, and I'm running down that tunnel, and I can feel him right behind me. I can feel him breathing on me. I know he can just reach out and grab me, but I am running. I'm just booking down that tunnel. And I finally get to the other end of the tunnel, which is on the opposite side of the block, and I run up the stairs, and I look behind me, and he's not there. He was probably never there. He probably never even followed me down into the station. So, by all like objective measures, like I've won, he didn't get any of my money and I got away from him. I win, right? But just like the whole rest of the walk back up to the comic book store, because I'm still going to the comic book store. And then at the store, I'm flipping through the books and I'm just like really upset about this. I'm so pissed off about what happened. Like, I'm pissed off just like I knew that this was a scam. Like, this was obviously a scam and I knew it, but I just got so scared. And I was just running down that tunnel, like a subway rat, like a cockroach. And and what pissed me off most of all was that, like, even though he didn't get any of my money, and even though he got away from me, like in his mind and in his later recollections of this story, because of how scared I got and because I ran away, he thinks that he won. He thinks that he fooled me. And I want to tell him, not only do I want to tell him that he did not fool me. I want to tell him just how badly I think he did. I mean, you start with these eyeglasses, these hideous, like enormous silver frame eyeglasses that nobody has worn outside of like a 12-year-old boy in 1987. And speaking of which, like, there's no eyeglass lens manufactured in the last 30 years that could get that badly damaged from just like a little 3-foot drop onto the pavement. And who just walks down the street holding a pair of eyeglasses? You know, you're supposed to use a bottle of wine or a box of cupcakes or something. You know, if you're daring, you use a camera or an iPhone. You need something that has a really, quickly and understandable amount that you can attach to it. You know, like $30 for a bottle of wine, $20 for a box of cupcakes. Like, nobody knows how much it costs to fix a pair of eyeglasses. You know, you're supposed to use a bottle of wine. You're supposed to use like a bottle of cough medicine or something. You know, if you go on nyc.gov, there is a page for common street scams to look out for, and this specific scam actually has a name. It's actually called the broken bottle scam. So you have the city government of New York City telling you how to run this scam, and you are still getting it wrong. So, you know, I go home, I finish shopping, and I go home, and you know, by the end of the night, like, this is the only thing that is cheering me up now, just the thought of me saying all of this to this guy's face. You know, the next time I run into him, haha, like that's ever gonna happen. So 2 weeks later, I'm walking down from Flatiron towards Union Square when I feel somebody walking right behind me, so close that they're practically touching me. And I'm thinking, there is no way that this is happening to me again. And the guy makes his move, and he edges right around in front of me, and I see huge guy, beat up blue backpack, hair in these long braids tied in the ponytail in the back. And I'm thinking, there is no way that this is happening to me again. So then the guy, just as he gets out in front of me, he stops. But this time I'm watching him, so the moment that he stops, I stop. And I don't come anywhere near him. But still, the silver-framed eyeglasses go clattering down onto the sidewalk because this life is about commitment. And he starts screaming, "You need to watch where you're going. You can't just go crashing into people on the sidewalk like that." And he picks up the glass and he goes, "Look what you did. Now I can't help my daughter with her homework. What are you gonna do about it?" And I wish I could tell you that I had this speech all queued up and ready to just spout off at a moment's notice. But again, he is this enormous guy, and he is in my face, and he is screaming at me. And every like smart and clever thought I have in my head just flies out. And there is nothing left in my head except for the one thing that I can think of to say, which is, "Yeah, you told me the same story 2 weeks ago on Canal Street." So I see this look fall down over his face, and I know this look. This is the same look that was on my face 2 seconds ago. This was this look of like, this cannot be happening. And suddenly, here's this guy who 2 seconds ago, he was the embodiment of everything that I hated about the city and everything I hated about myself. And now we're like sharing this like magic New York moment together. And I'm thinking to myself, if this was a movie, is this the scene where we become best friends? But unfortunately, we will never know, because this is how I leave the scene, with him standing on the corner, yelling, but also laughing. "That wasn't me, that wasn't me." And me just walking straight ahead and not looking back and feeling cooler than I ever have in my entire life. Thanks.
Mike Cho, everyone.